Oh man, big news this Tuesday. This is awesome. Let me just have a look at Reddit, see what people are saying. Facets of Zero in Before Wooden Potatoes 1 hour analysis vid. Huh. Maybe that is a good idea. Let's do it. Oh, yes, guys. Welcome. Today, the news did drop. I am loving the very quick, sudden releases after news comes out. Head of the Snake. Episode 4 of this season of The Living World is coming out in just a week. It was maybe last week we had a quote from Mo who said, yeah, it'll be sometime out in February. And I do bet indeed that he was very smug about the fact internally he knew it would be very, very, very early in the month. So yeah, in just 1 week, we've got the new episode coming out. It's been slung on us very quickly. There's been a lot of news. There's been a trailer. And today I want to talk about everything they've released, see how far off maybe some of our predictions were, and dive in. The trailer itself is pretty good, but I'm more excited about maybe what it represents. So just before we run into that, there was also an accompanying post a couple of hours earlier than the trailer went live over on MassivelyOP, in which they described some extra stuff about the patch. Now I'm going to read this verbatim. We don't need to play Chinese whispers on this. So they say that this episode called The Head of the Snake, and it will have the advancement of the story as Queen Jenna summons players to her side while they act as her personal witness in uncovering the nest of corruption in Divinity's Reach. So this is actually what we predicted. We saw in the first episode some stuff with Kanak, and we saw a little bit of this human politics stuff. We saw the setup with Cordicus, but then that kind of split away, and we haven't seen very much of that. We haven't seen any of Casimir this season yet at all. So I think this is going to be the perfect opportunity to reintroduce her, reintroduce Cordicus, reintroduce some of these characters like Minister Wee, or this new mysterious Minister Wee daughter character figure that we saw in episode 1, and the time has finally returned to come back to Divinity's Reach. They also say, along with Head of the Snake, and we're really not going to do too much talk about this on this video because this is the only thing that I think it exists in, along with the Head of the Snake will come the brand new raid wing, Bastion of the Penitent. This is the first time ever that a Living World episode has come out at the same time as a raid wing. So you're really going to have to decide on Tuesday, what do you care more about? Playing the story, getting the new rewards, maybe if there's new legendaries and things going for that, or grinding your head to the stone and doing this epic progression in the next wing, which will comprise, if you remember, of 4 bosses, they've said. No, like, easy cop-out little challenges, and they said overall the difficulty of this is probably higher than the previous wings. So what do you want to do when the patch comes out? I think I'll be focusing on the Living World stuff first, and maybe on the Wednesday after the release comes out, finally getting in on it. So what is that raid? Well, they do describe a little bit more. They say the destruction of the Maguma Bloodstone has opened a mysterious portal in Bloodstone Fen, and beyond it lies a sinister and ancient place with little chance of escape. So what does that mean? A portal? Is this a portal that takes us somewhere else interior? Or dare we speculate this is taking us to the mists? We all know that we've been desperate for a Fissure of Woe or Underworld style raid at some point. Is the Bastion of the Penitent such a thing? Or is it some kind of Mesmer or Massart created pocket universe? Are we going there? This is going to be really, really, really interesting. The word Penitent there does make me think White Mantle style things, and maybe they are continuing that exact same story. Looks like maybe the Divinity's Reach sewers idea or the Wizard's Tower idea may not have happened unless, yeah, this is a portal that's taking us into another area of the same physical dimension. So we'll see, but that's the raid. That's what's coming out. It's on Tuesday, and of course they did indeed release some images with that. So let's quickly fly through these. These you can kind of get to if you go directly to their URLs. 2 images are of Queen Jenna in the throne room, so obviously we're going to get some new scenes there. The description does make it sound like we are her ally, by the way. I know a lot of people love the conspiracy theories about Jenna. I know we're all enjoying looking back at the events perhaps of the Edge of Destiny book and how she pulled Logan's strings, and maybe even suggestions back in Season 2 about Anissa's age and so forth with Kanak. But it does look like we're very much on her side, and we're going to be defending Divinity's Reach from the White Mantle here. But then there are 2 other screenshots, and they're a little bit more interesting. One of them's called Horde, And the location might look fairly familiar at first, but I actually think this is a new place, isn't it? This doesn't look like one of the established Centaur locations, using a lot of similar assets, but I think that might be new. What definitely is new, though, in the background is some of these Centaurs are glowing red, suggesting they might be bloodstone crazed. And when we get to the trailer in a second, you'll see a bit more of that as well. So there is this weird red glow. And then the other one, the most interesting screenshot that came from this article, boom, is called Town. Look at this. This is definitely a new place. This is a new area to explore within the region of Crater. Oh, which is also something that we'd speculated. Now, let's do this straight away, okay? Before we even get to the trailer, is this Lake Doric? This is what everybody's wondering about. This is what I was joking about online on the Reddit threads in response to this news. I still don't think so. Listen, the devs straight up said that we're not getting Lake Doric. Now, I think that we might get a map in the location of Lake Doric, and as you'll see from the trailer in a second, I'll justify why. We might get like a new, totally different map, not called Lake Doric, that's different stuff, different size, different everything. They didn't pick up their old ideas, basically, but it's set in the same region of the world, and that would make me a little bit sad that they didn't recycle some of their old ideas, but maybe that doesn't matter, right? But I don't think it's Lake Doric itself. I don't think that they got us on a technicality with Lindsay's specific wording previously. If you guys missed all of this, there'll be a link in the description to the last video. We were talking about Lake Doric and it's leaking in the Chinese client. But I do think I'm still firmly with no. The other opportunity too, still, by the way, as we've already speculated, is this Majesty's Rest area. Now, I haven't really done you guys many favors. There was an interview a long time ago with Guildmag, I believe, in which Jeff Grubb talked about how this area north of Brisbane Wildlands, across that bandit bridge that's been broken, that area they had at one point maybe thought about dealing with to the west of Queensdale. And in the end, it wasn't something that got very far. Maybe it was one of these 5 maps Lindsay was talking about very recently as well. But there is every bit of opportunity that maybe, as you can see from Shaman's historical guide here, the new map and the new stuff you're about to see in this trailer might be Majesty's Rest too. That might be where this town is, but we shall have to see. All right, so that's that. Let's get in on the trailer and let's do everyone right who wants it and go for some absurdly long speculation over minuscule seconds of footage released.
For years, we've had a fester inside the kingdom, a creeping undertow that sucked some of our friends and family into its darkness.
This is a moment in life where you will look back one day and say, I made a stand, or I did nothing.
As we are poised to be smashed between 2 rising elder dragons, we cannot stand for a threat from within.
I was honored when Codicus tapped me for the job of regicide, and I will see it to its bloody end.
We will rout this serpent out of our home. Kryta will not be broken. Divinity's reach will not fall.
All right, okay, so here we go. So first thing you'll notice straight away, by the way, having watched that in full there, this trailer's actually a bit shorter than the other ones, and honestly, it's got a lot of just people walking towards the camera and even our old stuff, so I love what the trailer represents, but I feel like they're not quite on top of their game with this one, and then maybe that's just me. Let's go on in. Now, first I want to talk a little bit about the dialogue and the things that we hear here. Specifically, there's that really interesting line about how there's a woman we hear speaking. She says, I was honored when I was tapped for the job of regicide, and I will not fail. All right, so what she's talking about here, regicide, she's talking about actually going for the throne, trying to kill the queen. All right, and that really is the setup here. As you can see from the trailer, we're obviously seeing a lot of a big prominent attack on Divinity's Reach. We hear Jenna's counter response to her people saying that Divinity's Reach will not fall. This is very, very, very on theme and on point with what humanity was always supposed to be in Guild Wars 2, by the way. If you look back at the movement of the world and some of the early stuff about the game, humanity is supposed to be on their last legs and aggressed constantly and receding from the world, indeed, as well. And we haven't seen very, very much of that. So this is going to be about a big attack on Divinity's Reach. You might wonder who that is that makes that regicide comment. Like, who is this person? It could be a character we actually met back in Living World Season 2. And I have a big recommendation for you guys as we go through this here. Go back and play the Party Politics episode of Living World Season 2 to refresh yourself. This is where we would first start dealing with Casimir's ability to detect lies. Well, not first, but it became a bit of a mechanic there. We were actually going around the party trying to figure out some of the stuff that ended up feeding into these White Mantle storyline things. And here we meet a woman named Minister Estelle, and she's actually arrested at the end of that episode. But I think it could be her. Now, you might think, oh, well, she's in jail. What could she possibly do? Don't forget, like, that dialogue we had from Wing 3, right? Where Zira talks to us about how every layer of Crichton politics and within their cities infiltrating their government, they have White Mantle agents. And so the chance that she could be released from her cell, just like even the original personal story was dealing with a different character, I think it's totally possible. So I think we might see Estelle, a character from Season 2 of The Living World, actually return based specifically on that dialogue, because it sounds like the same woman. And obviously that's not really a frame-by-frame thing, but that's something I wanted to open up with. Also, yeah, the idea here is we're going to have a Divinity's Reach attack, and there's something else I want to talk about that as we go in. So, but for now, let's roll in. I don't want to spend too long on this video before we even get in. So we get our opening splashes, we get the Living World logo, we get a lovely shot here of Divinity's Reach at night. I'm not sure what it is, but I really like these windows lit. I mean, obviously we see the windows lit on several occasions. Like, you can go in game at any point and we see Divinity's Reach at night. What this kind of suggests to me, though, maybe more of, is that when we do the story instances of this update, they're actually going to be set at a fixed night time. So get your night sigils ready, guys. But I do think that'll be a thing. So here we've got the Queen, and there's actually something very cool here. Watch this. Watch her mouth as she speaks.
Years we've had a fester inside the kingdom.
See, for years we've had a fester inside the kingdom. I actually think that the lip sync here, I think that the facial animations here are actually really pretty good. Some of it could look quite cheesy, very reminiscent of The Sims. Back during Heart of Thorns to me. Some of it's really not been that good, but this actually, let's watch it again, I'm pretty impressed with. I think they're doing quite well, and all throughout this trailer, I think that they've done quite well.
Inside the kingdom.
And so hopefully that keeps up, and that will actually translate. Obviously, this is going to be an in-game cutscene here. We can't tell too much. Obviously, she's at the garden. She's at the observatory in the center of DR. I'm wondering if you'll remember there was a patch recently where the throne room door actually became connected. It had no collision, and you could just walk through it a while ago, maybe 2-3 months back. And I'm wondering whether we're actually going to get a personal story instance where the throne and this garden out the front of it exist in the same space, which isn't really something that we got to see in the personal story, where they were always very, very separate. So I think it's going to be a big attack, and maybe we'll actually have to defend a lot of locations around here, receding back towards the throne room. Another interesting thing about Divinity's Reach as well, which you can tell from Tyria 3D exploration, is right near the aquarium area, and you've got that tunnel where you walk through the tunnel of fish. There's actually a gate there, which is a dynamic object the devs can attach a script to, which will open or close it. Now, this door you should be seeing right now, they've never had cause to open or close ever in the actual game, because it would just be inconvenient to players. But maybe some kind of defense event now within Divinity's Reach, they can use that asset and that capability that's been there since the launch of the title, maybe. So if we're gonna have a bigger defense, I think that this could be it. So let's move on. Here I'm not really quite sure what outfit this is. I'm pretty sure that's a White Mantle hammer, and this is supposed to be a White Mantle, knight guy that's going to be assaulting them. Here we get another guy walking towards the camera. I think this is bladed armor he's wearing here. He's supposed to look White Mantle-y. Obviously, he's got the weird corrupted eyes. This is obviously, from a trailer-making perspective, just a member of ArenaNet has created a player character here. Here you go. We're already seeing maybe the new map, right? Because what we're looking at here, this doesn't look like Shaymore. This doesn't look like any area of Queensdale, with the cart, the wagon, the destroyed thing here slanted off to the side. And yet, as we pan up, we are actually now seeing these are the walls of Divinity's Reach. So this is a view of one of the walls of DR we haven't seen before. So as to the location of the new map, this is one of the reasons I think already we might be in the location that Lake Doric was once upon a time going to be set, but now is no longer Lake Doric, but it is the new map. I think this could be, the northern wall, the northeastern wall, and there'll be even more evidence for that in just a second. But this I don't recognize, and yet here we have Divinity's Reach very close. So you can get a lot from the background. Here we got the throne room. Nothing special at all about that shot of the throne room. It's just the throne room. I mean, it's a very special room. Why they might have left it in there, despite the fact there's absolutely nothing new going on here, could be to highlight the stone. I mean, look at the way that the camera moves here, right? We're watching the stone. We're panning down the stone. Now, this has had a lot of speculation done on it for years. Some people think it might be like something to do with the Bloodstones, could be the Keystone, could be something. Don't forget the White Mantle, Cordicus's faction of the White Mantle, might not just be looking for power's sake. he might be a little bit more complicated than that, and it could be something to do with whatever we're looking at here. And maybe that's why they've used this, or maybe they just think it's a pretty instance, and it was a consequence of using that room. So here we get a guy saying, what is it? This is your moment in life? Let's go again.
Moment in life where you will look back one day and say, I made a stand, or I did nothing.
All right, so that dialogue goes on for a long time. This will be a moment in life where you look back and say, I made a stand, did nothing. There's not really too much information we can discern from that. However, as to who this character is, you might be wondering. No, it's not Farron. It's actually someone we've never met before, as far as I'm aware. I don't know who this person is. He seems to be on the side of the good, I guess. I doubt he's White Mantle or anything like that. He seems to be advising the Queen, maybe, or helping her on the battlefield. This, again, what you're looking at in the background now, this isn't the throne room. This is actually where the politicians come to convene. This is above the little fish corridor area that we've looked at before, and one of the prettiest areas that you can explore in Divinity's Reach. In fact, the old before the game came out, demos that the devs would run players through in the city, they'd always take you up here, and it's got the beautiful concept art, it's got the map of the world on the floor down there. So I'm guessing this is some kind of politician, perhaps a new character, a new front-running politician, someone that we can get behind. And it actually looks like there's a lot of stuff to do with the politicians coming up because of another shot which we just saw a second ago when we were listening to the audio of another guy. But before we have this shot here, this looks very Ascalonian, to be honest with you. Very Ascalonian indeed. I doubt it is Ascalon. It probably is the new map. It probably is White Mantle, as we can see that the White Mantle emblem is here. They're flying their banners very openly now. There's nothing covert about this. This is a White Mantle location. The spikes and things are kind of centaur, that remind me of centaurs, and it does seem like the two are in an alliance because some of the shots we'll see upcoming. That banner maybe is, it looks a little different. It's torn, but it's got some other stuff on it. Maybe this is some kind of combination of centaur and mantle ambitions together, which is very, very interesting, and we'll talk about it in just a second. Here we get a shot of a watch knight. Now, this is really cool to me. Now, this is a broken watch knight, okay? Currently in the game, the only place we see these really is in Divinity's Reach, I think in the Crown Pavilion. There's some still left over. There's a whole story with the watch knights, even some conspiratorial ideas with the watch knights of the Queen's connection with Scarlet. And these things development, and it's a cool part of Living World Season 1 that I love to see them go back and reference again. It was one of the things that I enjoyed about some of the more recent patches as well. So if we get more on the Watch Knights, I think that'd be really cool. And what's important to notice here, guys, is this is not, again, in Divinity's Reach. This is out of Divinity's Reach. This is somewhere else we've got a Watch Knight. A Watch Knight is set in the new map. Maybe this is just a prop. It might not be moving. It might not be an enemy. But there is something going on with these in the new map, because that's Divinity's Reach back there. And again, I think we might be the northeast of Divinity's Reach here. I'm not quite sure what this is. But yeah, so we've actually got a shot of one of these, and I'm curious what they're doing here. This could end up just being as uninteresting as perhaps the Jorah statue was from A Crack in the Ice. Remember, it featured prominently in the trailer, and then it really wasn't much of a thing. Maybe I'm not getting my hopes too high, but this does seem very, very cool. Okay, and so now here's the other politician. This guy here, you might think, oh, it's Cordicus. It's not Cordicus. This is Minister Wee. This is Minister Wee. So this is the potential father of the Lady Wee we saw at Cordicus's side on the previous patch. This is the Ascalonian minister. He's the minister of Rurikton. He's, throughout the personal story, described as one of the only nice, you know, genuine ministers, perhaps, out there in Divinity's Reach. His wife is a member of the Order of Whispers, were actively against Cordicus, and it seems perhaps his daughter, if that was who we saw in Out of the Shadows, the first episode, was with Cordicus. So I love that we're seeing Minister Wee. This is great, and we're going to see him again in the trailer again in a minute, alongside his wife. So that's awesome. Here we get fire and bloodstone elementals. So the fire and the red of the actual character might throw you off. You might think we're looking at Bloodstone Fen. We even have that press release mention of Bloodstone Fen, that's where the portal's going to be. So maybe this is Bloodstone Fen. Actually, the wall back there, again, I think this might be the new map or something set in Kryta. I wouldn't be surprised if these things are maybe portaling in during the attack. Maybe the White Mantle have found some way to manipulate them, or it's a free-for-all kind of thing. I'm not quite sure, but obviously we're seeing a lot of Bloodstone-based stuff going on here. So yeah. This is probably the most boring shot of the entire trailer. Let's just skip through it. Basically, what's happening here is the voiceover is saying, oh, we're wedged between two elder dragons, and this is going on, which is, you know, a bit on the nose, but it's a trailer, so it's fine. And now they're just supporting that voiceover with first a shot of something from a crack in the ice, and second a shot of something from Rising Flames. I don't think that there'll be new stuff set in those locations for this patch, unless there's some kind of weird scavenger hunt thing going on. So here we get, I was really happy to see this. Okay, this is all White Mantle, White Mantle, White Mantle, White Mantle, White Mantle, White Mantle, but remember guys, it's not just all about the White Mantle. A lot of the political intrigue from Vanilla Guild Wars 2 and those earlier days, right, was the Ministry Guard and their affiliation with all of this stuff. And this is who this guy is. He's a member of the Ministry Guard. Think back maybe to Marjory's introductory story and some of the intrigue there with the Ministry Guard killing a kid. And don't forget that even tied into E. We are returning to politics in Divinity's Reach. Will that story, that Marjory story, maybe become a bigger thing? That would be something maybe to recap yourselves on as well, guys. Again, I've got a video on that you can check out in the description. All of these things might end up melding together. I love this guy. I love his smug, arrogant face. And again, look, we're out in the garden, so I don't know, is he going to be some guy attacking us in the garden, or are we going to have a shock twist where maybe these guys are helping us? It's going to be cool. And here we go. This is the shot I mentioned a second ago. This is your second shot of Minister Wee, all right? Second shot of him, and then his wife here. I don't know why, but I fear for his life a little right now. I don't really necessarily fear for Jenna's. I've been talking for years now about the potential that we might have some attack on Divinity's Reach. I've been talking for years about the idea that it would be a cool idea to kill the Queen off. We have a trailer here openly talking about an attempt on her life, and suddenly I'm not that confident she's going to die. I don't know what it is, guys. I don't know why that suddenly twisted for me, but I feel like Jenna might survive, but for some reason, Minister Wee, maybe that he won't. And of course, here's his wife. It's great to see these characters. It's great to see the Order of Whispers, man. We need more Whispers stuff going on. I feel like we've had more Vigil and Priory than anything else, and Whispers, maybe that's a good thing, because they are supposed to be somewhat covert themselves. But it's nice to think of a bit of Whispers involvement in what is already a very subterfuge-laden plotline. So yeah, this should be pretty cool. Also, for what it's worth, I just mentioned for years I've been talking about attempt on Jenna's life. You will recall a long time ago, I did a discussion on the Infinity Ball storyline, on Admiral Shod, on the alternate universes, and a reference to a battle at Divinity's Reach from the personal story. Is this that battle of Divinity's Reach? Well, I wouldn't get my hopes up. I've come to think of that Infinity Ball storyline as maybe a bit more of a... I saw someone describe this recently, a play for gags, and I think that person was absolutely right? I think that they won't go any serious directions into the Infinity Ball world, and maybe this is the battle for Divinity's Reach. Maybe you'll see a little Asura running around there. I'm hesitant to suggest such, as I did way back during the events of Season 1. But it's great to see finally we are getting a battle for Divinity's Reach, let me say. Especially for the amount that Lion's Arch have had. So again, here, look very subtly in the background. That screenshot we saw at the start labeled Town. This is Town again, this is it. There's humans in here, and we saw on the previous screenshot that there were humans in there as well. So again, this is like a fortified location, but I think it's an allied location, probably. Unless it's maybe the White Mantle stronghold or something. We see a little well here. This is a guild hall decoration, and we see in several different places. But again, I think we're looking at the new map. I love the new architecture that we're seeing here. We've never really seen houses like this. It's very exciting to me. What these people could be, what they could be doing there, outside of just, hey, this is another area of, you know, crater with and stuff going on. I couldn't say right now, except maybe it's probably got a lot to do with the centaurs. Here we've got an oak heart, and a special oak heart at that, as you've probably noticed. This guy is totally Bloodstone corrupted. Bloodstone's craziness going on the eyes. We've got Bloodstone fleck things flicking off from all over him. This guy looks scary. He looks pretty interesting. He's probably going to be a world boss or story boss. Is he a boss in the raid? Well, there's also that potential too, because don't forget that the whole raid wing is being entered through a portal that's opened in Bloodstone Fen, so maybe it's connected to other Bloodstone craziness going on. But I don't know, something about this trailer just feels very Crichton and Living World focused rather than raid focused. It's really curious to me that they released the two at the same time. They totally could have gotten away with having them as separate releases and maybe monetized the two of them much better, but that's just my opinion. And I'm happy to get more content, obviously. It's like we're getting a double release, guys. This, I think a lot of people will have just flicked through. It's a very short little clip, and before they move on with it. But this is great, guys. These are Earth Elemental hands. This is an Earth Elemental, which is actually really awesome. We haven't seen an Earth Elemental for ages. Let's see. I think there's 2 in the game. There's one, the very first boss you fight as a human, that is summoned by Shaman Olgoth before he runs off. And then, of course, you've got him again later in Harathi Hinterlands at the end of the meta event where the Earth Elemental is re-summoned. I don't think we've seen anywhere else. They haven't really reused it. But again, think about Crack in the Ice. In a Crack in the Ice, we saw the Ice Elementals return in kind of an interesting way where the really powerful Sons of Svanir or Ice Brood out there would be summoning them and you could interrupt. It's a really cool idea. I want to see more enemies with this tech, this like summoning tech. Don't forget there was excellent AI in the Bitter Frost Frontier. That map was amazing in so many respects, and so I think they've set the bar really high for this new map as well. And I think maybe why we're looking at this, it does look very big, but maybe we're seeing shaman centaurs in the new map that are summoning these Earth Elementals, very similar to how the Ice Brood were in the Crack in the Ice map, the Bitter Frost Frontier. That's my theory, but again, could be a story boss, could be a world boss. You know, the world is open to them. Here again, another White Mantle banner in front of some netting. I'm not sure too much what I can take from that. Maybe the fact that there's a ley line in the background, that's kind of cool, and we could fly along on that. And don't forget as well that the new map will probably have, I don't know about thermal propulsion, but it probably will key into the new masteries we've been getting. All right, so here we go. This shot is going to be awesome, all right? This is why I believe it is to the northeast, okay? Because we're going to get 2 shots here. They're kind of a pair. We're going to watch this cannon fire. We're going to watch it go over some trees. Sorry, we're going to watch this cannon fire as well. And here we're going to see them coming over the walls in Divinity's Reach. Now, if you stand in Divinity's Reach and look up at this exact location, you are facing northeast. And so the suggestion is that all these prior shots, these 4 prior shots, sorry, not just 2, all of these prior shots, these are all showing us where the map is, okay? This here, okay, we're going to get a little bit more detail on in a second, but I actually think that this is one of the dams. Okay, I think that this is where the trailer gets really exciting, right? I think that this is the eastern, sorry. I think this is the Eastern Divinity's Reach Dam. I think in-game right now, if you go here, this is where they set the location of one of the new bandit bosses. I think that this here is maybe one of our entries to the new map, right? I think that that's Queensdale we're looking at down there, right? We're looking at Queensdale. I'll give you a map to give you some more perspective. This here, obviously, this is Divinity's Reach, all right? And so to talk about the cannon itself, this looks like some new mantle tech. They've tapped access to a lot of magic. We saw Cordicus was interested in using the Bloodstone not to resurrect Lazarus, but because he was interested in the Jade constructs and what they could do, what he could do with that power. And I think that this is Divinity's Reach being sieged, obviously, and we get some nice perspective of the map here. This is the other side of the dam, guys. This is where Lake Doric was. This potentially was all water, or should have been all water, maybe. And I'll give you a big theory about what the trailer might be showing in a second, which could be way off, but we'll see. And we got some other like small locations around here, but I don't think this is Queensdale. This is not a map we've seen before, guys, whatsoever. It just looks kind of similar because geographically it's very close. So next shot, we don't get much, right? It's just trees and it's flying over. It's just to set up the story of the siege coming in. Here's another cannon firing. It's far too much of a close shot to determine much of what's going on behind it and around it. But here, again, check this out, right? This is not Queensdale. For a little while, I thought maybe that this was like the logging area that we had seen in Queensdale, and there's like a Skrit event and Skrit Heart off on the right. But these swampy trees were never near that location, and stuff in the background doesn't work. These cliffs don't work if this was that location. And obviously this should all be water when it's not now. What you're looking at here, guys, I think is what they're suggesting, all right, is that this was all like a lake. This was all rivery. This was all watery. And now it's all been drained out. And cannons and things have been set up. And I'll explain why I think that's happened in just a second. But I think that's evidence for that, right? Because here we see the sieges come in. We see them striking Divinity's Reach. Lots of shots of that. But look at where they land here. Look at this. Watch very closely. Let's watch this in slow motion. VLC is amazing. So let's go playback. Ready? It's not much slower. We're watching a wall get destroyed, okay? And you might think that this is a Divinity's Reach wall at first because of everything they've just done in the previous shots, but they're tricking you. Watch. It's getting destroyed, and look at the bottom, okay? there's water down here. There's a splash of water. What we're looking at here, guys, this is the Divinity's Reach Dam being destroyed by these cannons. They've done a little trick here, right? Because this original shot we see way back at the start of this little sequence, this shot here, this is actually after, but what this has done, I think, is shot here. This has blown this up. This was the dam, and this was holding a ton of water back. This was destroyed. The water flooded out of this new map, and maybe, you know, that's been a problem for Divinity's Reach as well. And now the forces are flooding in. And so they're doing a little bit of a trick with the timeline here, because the first shot shows it after it's been destroyed, and the last shot is actually showing it. This was the opening of their attack. This is the dam being destroyed. What a cool idea. Okay, and so this is the idea. Now let's go back. All right, let's look at what we saw a second ago of the new map. The reason why it looks like there's this big, like, you know, muddy, brown muddy area. Let's try and get back to it. The reason we're looking at this muddy area, all right, that looks sort of Queensdale-like, this is because all the water has drained out because the dam was blown up. Theory is that we are getting a new map to the northeast of Divinity's Reach. The access point to it will have been that one of those those destroyed dams, and it's not going to be called Lake Doric, and I don't think it's based on any of their old Lake Doric designs. Maybe it will have a connection to Harathi, sure, but I think that that's what they've done here. And those comments were kind of a bit of a trick for us. But it's not technically Lake Doric we are getting. And look at all these shots of... This is all the dam getting destroyed, guys. This is all the dam getting destroyed. Moving on. This is a centaur, by the way. And he's got a white mantle staff. And he's bloodstone infused. And I think what's happened here is a weird alliance between the white mantle and the centaurs. I don't think that the white mantle waterways like the centaurs. I think they're very xenophobic. Much like the Stone Summit, right? But I think that... what they've done is they've manipulated the centaurs into helping them out by promising them power with bloodstone power, which the mantle know is going to corrupt them and make them go crazy, but they'll deal with that later, and they don't really care. And I think this is what the centaurs have done. They've accepted this power as best they can, and I don't think Caudicus or his people actually care about the centaurs or want the centaurs anywhere near Kryta. It's just the enemy of my enemy is my friend style thing, and they're in arms for a little while. So some of that more beautiful lip sync there with Jenna. We get some stampeding centaurs. Takes a while for the centaurs to really become a thing. Again, another shot of Divinity's Reach here. One of the Divinity's Reach walls, but from an area we've never really got to play before. Guys, I mean, this is totally that geographical region of the world. And then there we go. We get the end. We get the end there. The head of the snake. So again, the trailer's quite short, and it's not actually got as much stuff in it as that makes it a really impressive trailer, in my opinion, as some of the old ones. But when you really look at it, I think the story here is really cool, and I think I'm going to be really excited to explore that region of the world. There is a part of me that's a little sad. If this theory comes true, there is a little part of me that's a little bit sad, because I kind of always wanted to swim around in Lake Doric, even if there was no content there. Back in Guild Wars 1, going into the Giants Basin, right? That was something I always wanted. And now it's like, well, we won't in the end. But hey, I think that that's a nice little answer and remedy from the devs, that they might drain it out. And I do recall when I first started talking about these ideas, some of you guys speculated and predicted that they might do that. And well, you might be, based on this trailer, even more right than you knew in the first place. So there you go. That's the trailer. There's maybe a little bit of other discussion we can do on the idea of, is the city going to be fully destroyed Lion's Arch style? I don't think that's going to happen. I think that idea for Guild Wars is come and gone. I don't think we're going to see the Crown Pavilion go and our hub for all of our festivals and stuff. I don't think there'll be any permanent change in the real world or much of anyone. Maybe an entrance new map from Divinity's Reach, and that's about it. So I doubt that that's going to be that thing. And the other interesting thing about this trailer, by the way, that I thought was kind of curious, is actually the fact that they didn't show off any new legendary weapon. I hope there's going to be a new legendary weapon. So either that's because they've got something very special in place for us, and they're keeping it under wraps, or there's not going to be one for this patch, which would be very disappointing. I've talked many times about how important it is to get this out before any kind of, you know, big expansion reveal or ramp up. And so yeah, maybe there's something special, or maybe there's not going to be one at all. Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you think about any of this. I'm really glad, by the way, that people are posting fun comments like that on Reddit that I talked about at the start. Thanks so much for supporting these videos, guys. It means the world to me that you are enjoying it and that you are looking forward to this, because at the end of the day, it is basically just watching a trailer together. It's not the hardest of stuff to make. But it really, really makes what I do very fulfilling. So thanks very much for the support, guys. Honestly, I hope you enjoyed. I hope you learned something about this. I hope you're excited about the patch next week like I am. And Christ, I've got so much to cover. We've even got the raid wing to talk about too. But one step at a time, I suppose. Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Let me know what you think. And I'll see you next time. For the first time, the ghost boy looked straight at me. Minister energy crackled behind me a fraction of a second prior to the blast. It shot past my left ear and instinct sent me rolling to the side. But the spell hadn't been intended for me. It hit the ghost boy square in the chest and threw him back, off his feet, into mid-air. The ghost boy screamed as his chest imploded, then was sucked into the mist through a hole torn in the fabric of the world. I landed on my feet in the next moment, but it was too late for the ghost boy. I shifted into hunter mode. The other necromancer had already turned tail and run, leaving an energy trail I could follow if I hurried.